Welcome to the Create More Intimacy podcast. I'm Elisa Stoddard, and I help men stop chasing sex and start building real connection so they finally feel close, connected, and wanted again. Picture this. You walk in the door after a long day, and your wife's in the kitchen talking while she moves things around from one counter to the other, and she says things like, "I cannot do this all by myself," or "You don't even seem to notice what's going on around here." You half listen while you check your phone or put your things down, and you're thinking, "Are you kidding me? I work so hard. I provide. Why is this never enough?" Here's why. What she is really saying and what you are hearing are not the same thing. You're hearing, "Do more chores." And she's saying, "I want you in this with me." Not just physically at home, not just helping when you have time. She wants your care, your attention, and your presence in the life you two are building together. If you keep thinking your career is the biggest contribution to your family, then you're missing the point and you're missing her. Welcome to episode 16. She wants more than just a provider. When a woman says that she wants help at home, most men hear it as a to-do list, like do the dishwasher or take out the trash or pick up the kids or provide. But I want you to know that this isn't just about checking boxes. It's about caring enough to know what's going on in this shared life that you are building together. It's about asking and understanding what is on her plate, what she needs from you, but not making her necessarily have to spell everything out for you. You need to show up in the planning and the decision-making part because that's how you have a shared life together. Sure, you will plan and you will decide things together, like when and how you spend money, or how you're going to handle a neighbor's complaint, or whether your teen's new friend is a good influence. But I want you to understand that she is really asking you for partnership, not just assistance. You aren't there just to tick tasks off the list. Honestly, those tasks can be done by people who get paid. Here's what I want you to understand and that most men miss. When you only show up for the big things like fixing the car, a broken fence, or handling some kind of crisis, you are then absent for all of the millions of small moments in between. And those are the ones that build connection. Those are the things that make her feel seen and like this is a partnership. When she asks you for help, here's something to reflect on. I'm going to give you things to reflect on all throughout this episode. Here's the first one. When she asks for help, do you hear what she needs unsaid behind the words she's actually saying? Or do you just hear that she needs and wants more from you? From the time that boys are young, they are often taught that their value comes from producing and protecting and providing. And that message is reinforced everywhere in society. It's on TV shows where the dad works but is really absent-minded and clueless at home. We see in sports how it praises winners for grit and their stick-to-itiveness. In the business world, men are rewarded for long hours and some exorbitant amount of hustle. So it makes sense that men pour themselves into work believing that that's what makes them good husbands and fathers. It's everywhere. But in today's marriages, modern marriages where most women also work and contribute financially. That's only part of the job. You providing is only part of the job. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Many men avoid asking what is needed from them of their partners. Many men avoid asking, what do you really need from me? Why? Because they don't want to hear the answer. The dynamic in their relationship is such that they brace for a list of criticisms and places that they already feel like they're failing. So they know how to stay out of that danger zone for sure. The problem, while that avoidance helps temporarily, it does not protect your relationship. In fact, it makes it worse. I know you think you're keeping the peace, but what you are really doing is letting that distance grow between the two of you. Here's the next reflection. When was the last time you asked her, what's one thing that I could take off your plate? If the answer is never, then what's stopping you? Now, I'm going to add something deeper here. If you ask her what you could take off her plate, it puts the pressure on her to then tell you. And it doesn't actually take it off her plate, because then she might have to follow up with you, or she has to monitor it, or she has to come up with it. Pro tip would be that you just take things off the plate. Like, you notice such and such needs to happen. I'm going to go ahead and take care of this. Is there anything you want me to know before I do blah, blah, blah that's already named, that you've already defined and you can describe to her? Now, in my own marriage, my husband wasn't really socialized to show up, like many men, for roles like in the home and for kids. But he did take providing and protecting extremely seriously. And like a lot of couples, we both fell into the social norms, believing that jobs outside the home were his and things inside the home were mine. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, I'm really resourceful. For example, when I was growing up, my dad taught me to give my very first car a tune-up and set the timing before I was even allowed to drive it. And because of those lessons, I've always believed that I could figure things out. So I did. This meant that I made the appointments, that I handled the repairs, and I actually did a lot of them in our home. I solved problems before they even reached my husband's radar. Now, he worked long hours, and it was good that I carried all of that. But the bottom line is that because of the long hours, I carried all of the rest. Because my kids were from my first marriage, my husband took more of a back seat in the disciplining of the kids when they were younger. That's common in second marriages. Where my husband did shine was with my sons as teenagers. He got really good at mediating that mom-teen boy dynamic that I had with my sons. And sometimes he would point out where I was just absolutely making things worse. I was making it worse because in the back of my mind, I was super worried about how I looked as a mom and how their actions were somehow a reflection of me and my job as a mom. But the truth is, the rest of the time, I was super tired. Decision fatigue was my constant companion. And here's what I did not realize at the time. My willingness to take it all on meant that he never learned or had the opportunity to step into those roles that I just took over. And not only was that a loss for me, it was a loss for him and for the kids, because it kept him from being interwoven into the fabric of our everyday lives. I have worked with a man who had a really impressive career, and he provided really well. And everyone at work saw that he was very competent and reliable and driven, and he was rewarded for that. But at home, his wife felt like a single parent, and she told him that she wanted help, not just with the dishes or errands. She wanted him to engage in decisions. Those things turned into the actual rhythm of family life. And he admitted something that I hear from a lot of men, which is, I do not ask what she wants because I do not want to hear how I am failing. Here's the irony. He thought avoiding those conversations would just settle things down and keep things calm. It might have, but it also guaranteed the disconnection that she complained about. Even when he did start asking, even when the answer stung, that's when he started to rebuild trust with her, because his wife stopped seeing him just as that paycheck and started to actually let him in as a partner in ways that hadn't been the case before. I'm not sure you realize what happens when you're not engaged. When you don't know your kid's schedule, when you don't know how your wife is handling the budget, or when you're not part of everyday choices, you're not just skipping chores around the house. You are missing out on connection. You're also missing out on influence with your kids. You miss the conversations in the car that turn into the life lessons your kids hate and will tease you about. You miss knowing the little quirky things that your kids do and that you do and will be remembered for. You miss the little inside jokes and the shared looks across the table, those memories that are made just in the middle of ordinary days. And one day, you may realize you've become a background character in your very own home. Here's a point of reflection for you. If someone asked your kids, what does my dad do for the family? Would their answer go deeper than, oh, he works hard? Being a true leader in your family, it doesn't mean calling all the shots and controlling everything. But it does mean showing up for conversations, even ones that sting. It means asking questions and listening without defending yourself. It means stepping into all of the aspects of family life. Real leadership is about collaboration. Real leaders listen. They listen first. Real leaders are willing to hear the hard stuff and still lean in. When you do that, you give your wife what she's been asking for all along. You. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next week. Thanks for being here. If something in this episode hit home, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It helps more men find the support they need. And if you are ready to get help or take the next step, you'll find the link to book a free call in the show notes. I'll see you next time.